Let me see if this works. I have not been live in the grip, and I already see that the cyber demons are already doing it, working their little algorithmic magic. If you are not a subscriber, definitely like, share, and engage if you like the content, if you think it's going to be valuable to someone else. Um, these cyber demons are definitely real time, and they operate vicariously through algorithms. So I have been MIA for a while because I have been. What's up, Richard? How are you, my friend? I'm just going over why I've been MIA for the most part doing YouTube videos because I don't trust this platform. I'm good. Good. A lot of crazy stuff going on in my family, trying to manage all that stuff and manage my work and secular life. It's I try to juggle everything and do multiple things and keep my sanity at the same damn time. But I kind of took a break from YouTube blogging because I got tired. So they removed video because currently on YouTube, and they're messing with my little reception now because they don't want nobody telling on them. Google, you can't be trusted. You can't all the way it, and I'm just gonna put you out there. But they removed my video because apparently you cannot question the decision making or the thought process of health authorities on the site. It's a violation of their community rules. And, even on LinkedIn, I had a couple of posts and comments removed about how terrible the Biden administration handled Afghanistan, voicing my opinions about Afghanistan. And these posts, I got the little orange ticket, community standard ticket from the cyber lord saying, "Oh, you can't say this." And I posted an article on my blog, and if you're not a member of my website, join it. I don't censor people. I do facilitate the discussion, meaning that I don't want any passionately ignorant things on my website. That is what Facebook and Twitter is for. That's the beta people space. So go there to do that. But if you're a member of my website, www.thethoughtcorner.com, I recently posted an article about censorship and an opinion piece. And this is my personal opinion. And a lot of people, they think about free speech, right? And they think about it in terms of, oh, it's a First Amendment, and all they think about is free speech, right? But they don't really break down what free speech means. What does that mean? Freedom of speech. So in that article that I wrote on the Thought Corner, I talked about what amendment right in terms of that definition of free speech means. And I want to pull that up because I think it's important for us to understand the amendments of the Constitution, right? We really need to understand the amendments of the Constitution in as much detail as we possibly can understand them. That when people try to strip our liberties, create different scenarios in which, and let me just pull it up here, in which they are trying to get us to relinquish our that is when we go back and we look at that Constitution and see. Let me go grab this blog, and I want to talk about this blog. I didn't really intend to make it as lengthy as it was, but I had a lot to get off my mind because I was just so of my viewpoints, my opinions being censored by these technology gods. So, like I said, this article is on the Thought Corner, which is my website. So, if you want to check it, go ahead. All right, but I'm just going to talk about this a little bit because it's really, really important. Did I lose my camera? Okay. Yeah, I think it's really important for us to think about this. I'm going to just go to the First Amendment for a second here because law school, did a really good job of just breaking down the freedom of speech aspect of that amendment. And I think it's important for people to have a clear understanding of what it means, right? So I'm not going to read the entire article, but like I said, if you're a member of the Thought Corner, you can find it there. But I stated my opinions, and like I said, my opinions are my opinions. And stating my opinion, expressing my opinions, I'm expressing, I'm my First Amendment right to voice my opinion about a topic that impacts my life. So, according to a review of the amendments by the Cornell Law School's Legal Information Institute, freedom of speech is recognized as a human right under Article 19 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The right to freedom of speech allows individuals to express themselves without government interference or regulation. The Supreme Court requires to provide substantial justification for the interference with the right of free speech, which it attempts to regulate the content of speech. Okay? And this is where they attempt to regulate. Generally, a person cannot be held liable, either criminally or civilly, for anything written or spoken about a person or topic, so long as it is truthful or based on an honest opinion and such statements, right? So that is a definition by the Cornell Legal Law School. Awesome. Thank you, Richard. And it's free. It's just a platform where if you get censored somewhere else, you have a home and you can definitely have access to my content if I get banned on the other platforms for whatever reason. And let me fix my camera here. It's like a little lopsided here. I haven't messed with this camera in a while. Okay, so that is what I wanted to say. So with the First Amendment, it's very clear what the government cannot do to infringe upon our freedom of speech. The definition that Cornell Law School gave was perfect. Okay, now with that being said, they are not directly doing that. What they're doing is using platforms like Google, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all of these other major platforms, and they're probably stopping. Let me make sure they didn't turn off my audio because these people are demons. These demons be so busy when they start messing with my stuff, for real. So I have to make sure my audio's sewed up and everything. But what I'm saying is that the government can't do things, right? The Supreme Court is going to the government provide substantial justification for why they feel it is necessary to limit someone else's ability to exercise their freedom of expression and opinion that impact them, right? So they're using these platforms to do their dirty work for them. And these are platforms that a lot of people buy into in a lot of different ways. Some people aren't just YouTube browsers. They have invested in this platform in several ways. So I think that it's kind of illegal way for somebody to be paying for a service, a premium for a service, and then that service decides because your content doesn't go against your content goes against politics, that they can use algorithms to limit your reach. The passionate beta people on the internet can't take an objective opinion. Cyber demons, I'm telling you, as soon as you start getting into their asses about the shit that they doing, then they want to turn your shit off. Okay? But I'm going to repeat that one more time. And if not, I'm going to record this statement. Anytime somebody invests in a social platform beyond just a standard free user, that platform, in my opinion, is breaching their agreement by censoring that individual's content. And I personally believe that from a legal standpoint, we need to be looking into that. Is it a breach of terms of services for these major platforms to censor users that are buying into their platforms beyond just a standard? If you are paying a premium for any site, and paying that premium guarantees you that your traffic will increase and that you get all of the access to your traffic and your content that other users that don't pay this premium will get, then I feel like a lot of these platforms need to reimburse users for censoring their content, because a lot of this content that they're censoring does not go against the First Amendment of the Constitution. It goes against the narratives and popular beliefs of the liberal stream. And my thing is, you can tell who's running the show. Liberals are running the show. Honestly, I don't feel like conservatives really have a whole lot of influential clout in the United States of America, in my opinion. Republicans don't have the clout that the liberals do, because the liberals have the media, as Joy Reid's clown looking ass Lady Rachel Maddow after the election. They have Hollywood. They all of the mainstream. So when you look at all of these mainstream influences, and this is going to segue into my next point, when you look at all these mainstream influences, there's a liberal puppet master at the top telling people like black people, this is your image. Your women are going to be sluts and thoughts. Your men are going to be criminals. And this is how we're going to portray you guys in the mainstream media, in the mainstream news, and any other mainstream outlet. So when people have an opinion about black men and women, they can go to what we project to them about you and formulate that opinion. So, like I said, a lot of people aren't racist. They're just ignorant, because the image that they know about people is based off of what the main projecting. And goes into the next point about a point that I saw Dr. Boyce Watkins cover. And I wanted to echo this point because, like I said, this is no shade against Lil Baby, Lil Durk, or any of these mainstream rappers who lived realities that a lot of us cannot even fathom, and that the industry is using their experience to exploit that life and glory to young black men. But I think it's very peculiar the industry promoting Peter Pan type syndrome among black young men. Consider them being grown ass men that have stage names that actually manifest as men. They're manifesting as children, So you got your little babies, the baby, little Durk, all little, and then when you get into these men's age, these grown ass black men, 25, they got kids of their own, and yet the industry wants to project them as boys, not men, boys. So they give them these childish ass names like Lil this, Lil that, Lil that, Lil that, or whatever. And these could be their street names that they brought into the industry. But I just think it's very peculiar that all these grown ass black men with children these childlike monikers with their names, And I feel like it's a design of the industry, because even with Taylor Swift, I mean, if you're a Taylor Swift fan, I'm sorry for saying this, but Taylor Swift is weird to me. She's a grown ass woman, near 30 years old, and Taylor Swift, for some reason, the woman acts like she from one point to another, and sings about high school shit. And she acts like she's in high school. And they do this with a lot of these grown ass people in the mainstream media. Ariana Grande is 30, and yet she's being projected as this type woman. And I just think that people need to be more conscious about these mainstream influences and what they're doing to people, the mindset of people. There's a lot of these grown ass black men have children like mindset, because what they're being influenced by the mainstream is that black men are like Peter Pan, where they little this or they the babies. And no, we really need to start rejecting hip hop artists that are grown ass men with these tiny ass children type name. What's up, Marshall? I'm I'm doing a live because I've been shadow banned from the major platforms. A lot of people thought that I was not posting on LinkedIn, and I actually was posting on LinkedIn. My content just wasn't getting any reach, and it kind of frustrated me. So I wrote an article about that, and so I'm actually plugging that article to check it out, because I think people really need to be aware of what the First Amendment the First Amendment means when it means freedom of speech. I went over it a little bit, Marshall, but just to repeat, I talked about the overview from Cornell University, where according to their Legal Information Institute, freedom of speech is recognized as a human right under Article 19 Universal Declaration of Rights. Start talking about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights more, because human rights are being stripped in the name of this situation that seems to be ongoing. And a lot of people aren't talking about that. A lot of people are freely relinquishing their freedoms because of fear tactics, scare tactics, and it's that. The right to freedom of speech allows individuals to express themselves without government interference or regulation, right? The Supreme Court requires the government to show justification for the interference with the right of free speech where it attempts to regulate the content of the speech, right? So, like I said, the government knows they can't do it. What's up, Tiff? The mainstream media wants people to have a childlike mentality to easily push their propaganda. Absolutely. It's funny because people are getting down on Lil Boosie because rejecting these things. It's so funny. A lot of these black men who are rejecting a lot of these mainstream images of black men, and they're saying, no, you're not going to push this agenda on our kids. You think about this gay agenda, and this is no disrespect to anybody in the LGBTQ whatever the other letters are community, because I have gay friends, I have gay members. These are people that I respect. These are people that don't wear their lifestyles on their sleeves. They're not parading the gay lifestyle around. These are hardworking Americans. They get their asses up every day. They leverage their skills and their capabilities, and they're marketable people, right? They're not wearing their identity and their sexuality all over their body and all over and they're asking people to be allies to their foolishness. No, they're not doing that. These are regular people that just happen to love a different way, right? But what they are doing, just like they've done with Black Americans, is they are pushing this gay agenda. They are pushing it in every single way, creative way that they can. So in the schools, they are teaching gender dysphoria. And I know this because my niece, my nephew, and I have a 16-year-old. They're like my niece, nephew, and my daughter. They're like doorsteps. They're 15, 16, 17. We kind of coordinated our children, if you will. But no, it just like that. My point is, they all told me that they learned gender dysphoria in school. So the schools have been teaching subjects, topics for years that parents didn't even know about. But again, this agenda requires the education system and all these centers of influences to be in unison. So that's why you have so many big corporations pushing the gay agenda in every single way that they can creatively do it, with their virtue signaling, right? You have the schools and these passionately ignorant teachers pushing the gay agendas. And I'm not trying to be, but this has been an enlightening period of time for me the last couple of, I would say the last year and a half, because I realized that we give teachers too much intellectual credibility. We give them too much intellectual credibility. And to be honest with you, most people in the private sector could leave the private sector and be teachers. But most teachers who are teachers can't leave their teaching job and go into the private sector without significant additional training to be able to get them to do what somebody in the private sector. Start thinking about that, right? People have curriculum. Most of that curriculum is already pre-designed for them to execute. And if they're a good teacher, they will execute it in a practical, real world manner. If they're a bad teacher, they will stick to their curriculum, and the teachers and the children will know no more about the subject than they read about when they had to tackle that curriculum, right? But this gay agenda is in unison with every center of the influence. So the kids go and they learn about gender ideas and dysphoria in school. Then they project these grown ass people like Lil Nas X and Taylor Swift, grown ass people. They try to project them as teenagers, teenagers or whatever, and being free so that teenagers can connect what they learned in school to this lifestyle that Lil Nas X is responsible for projecting. The LGBTQ community are being used by mainstream who have a genuine concern for them. The LGBTQ people are being used just like Americans have been used. They are using their insecurities, their issues in society, and they're recycling them. Because here's the thing, most people don't care that another person is gay. Nobody cares about that. On a good day growing up, I knew of gay people. Gay people were integrated in society, had no issue. It wasn't until all these other little letters started popping up, all these little other letters and all these other little identities, that it basically, to me, infiltrated their movement and their stance. So basically, they're disrupting the civil rights movement by getting black people inflamed about shit that has already been reconciled in society, right? It's fake support for sure, Tiff. And then again, the gay people all riled up about an issue that has already been reconciled in society. I've worked with gay people before. Never had a problem. They never wore their sexuality on the. They was cool. You, Chris, you doing your thing, blah, blah, blah. I've worked with somebody who was a transgender, and that was a bit of a more sensitive situation, because in that situation, this individual came to the interview as a man, and he was going to be an instructor for one of our children's programs. And then when we interviewed him, he was qualified for the job. But, my thing is, when you're children and you're dealing with the transgender lifestyle, it's almost like you need to pick a struggle. Even a non-binary person, to me, you don't have the right to confuse me about you. Just because you are confused about you don't mean that I need to be confused about you. Just like Demi Lovato, she was kind of the poster child for non-binary, and now she done pissed off all the gay people, right? They pissed off at her ass. Why? Because Demi Lovato keep flip-flopping. She's talking about, I'm non-binary. I mean, next week I could be trans. And, one day, I might just say I'm a woman, right? So now this girl is flip-flopping, confusing all those young kids who are following her grown ass. Because Demi Lovato is a grown-ass woman who targets young adults, right? So now she smiles of these young adults by flip-flopping about her own identity. And I think that we really need to step back from some of these arguments. I don't mind an ally to somebody who is perfectly defined in who they are. If you are Chuck and you like butts, that's your business, Chuck. Can we get work done? Can we get work done, Chuck? For real. Because your sexuality has nothing to do with what we have to do. But I think where people like Chuck are getting irritated is the fact that Chuck has defined in himself that he is gay. He has defined in himself that he is gay. He's always felt this way. This is not some later on in life thing that he's flip flopping about. People like Demi Lovato, they're flip flopping about their identity for propaganda. This is they're part of the gay agenda, and you know that they're part of the gay agenda because they can't even stick to the script. Even stick to the script. Because if I say I'm non-binary, and listen to Demi Lovato talk about her non-binary talk. She was like, "Well, I like to play with the boys when I was a kid." Like every girl goes through a tomboy phase. I was a tomboy. There are a lot of girls. Like I'm from the Midwest. Chicks from the Midwest, we are we are not as feminine as maybe some from other the country. You know what I mean? Women are different everywhere. A lot of the girls in the Midwest that I know of, we went through tomboy phases. That didn't mean that we had dysphoria. Like hanging with boys. I've always had a lot of male friends or whatever, more than female friends, because I felt like boys were less dramatic than girls. That didn't mean that I wanted to be a boy. It just means that I had a higher tolerance level for the emotions of being around predominantly male friends than female friends, right? Men. I've never not loved men. You know what I mean? But I went through that phase. You know what I mean? And so when you're talking about these non-binary people, when you're talking about the gay agenda, when you're talking about the emasculation agenda, look at these grown ass celebrities that they are putting for our young people, singing young people music so that they can be attracted to that or whatever. Look at these people. They're grown adults. They're grown adults and they're projecting these grown adults as if they're like high schoolers sometimes. You know what I mean? 1 minute Lil Nas X is like a teenager. Next thing you know, he's a grown man twerking, right? Somebody referred to the prison system as the black man's Holocaust. So why in the world would Lil Nas X do a video part of that gay agenda in which he is exalting the experience of men that had to go through the prison system Holocaust? So I just wanted to make this quick because I haven't been on in a while. I've been censored, have definitely been censoring me. And I feel like the major tech companies are definitely ops of the federal government to carry out suppressing the freedoms of individuals that the court says that the government can't do. So they're using these tech companies. And I think we need to revisit Section 230. Okay? We really need to do that. Just go ahead and get that together because I don't feel like it's right for technology companies to be able to suppress the opinions, the public opinions of individuals, force feeding them with narratives that are irrational to them. So you guys have a wonderful, wonderful evening. I got to turn on my air conditioning. It is so hot right now when I turn it off because I don't want it to be so loud when I'm doing this. But I think this one menopause. Okay, you got to get off. So you guys have a wonderful evening. I'm trying to get a guest onto my podcast. If you caught my last guest, I had Joe Collins from California. He's running against Maxine Waters. I'm trying to get another person working on it. If anybody knows have a connection with Herschel Walker, please send them my way. I want to have an interview with her. So that is what I'm working on. hopefully I'll be able to put some marketing out about something like that. But that's pretty much my mission, is to try to get an interview with Herschel Walker. So we'll see what happens. But you guys have a wonderful day, or evening, I should say. Bye.